How's it going, everybody? It's Keaton here. Thank you so much for tuning into today's video about how to run Facebook ads. If you found this video, you've landed on the one that's going to provide you the most value. I've run Facebook ads for 3.5 years now. I've learned a lot of things during that time, and I'm excited to share them with you today. If you get a lot of value out of this, please leave a like, comment, share this with a friend. It really helps the channel grow, helps me continue to make videos like this for absolutely free for you. So with all of that said, let's dive into the video. The first thing we need to understand about Facebook before we touch any of the buttons inside Facebook Business Manager or any of that stuff is how the algorithm works. And this is such like a buzzword, algorithm, right? But it's actually really important that we understand how Facebook works and what it's optimizing for. So I'm going to show you an example when it comes to deep learning algorithms or machine learning by showing you this video. Thank you to Slothful Studios for putting this out. So they're trying to teach this AI car how to drive in this video. And you can see the first time he's going to go really slow. He's trying to figure out how to not run into the wall. And boom, he hits the wall. And then he restarts. So now this time he's going to try again and see if he can not hit the wall. But he hits it again. Now, look at that. He learned how to go around that corner, but then he ran into something else. Oh, now he ran in again. But let's see if he makes it this time. Oh, barely. Now he's gonna run in for sure to that wall, right? It actually takes him about 10 or 15 times to get through the second wall. So I'll just explain while we watch this, how this relates to the Facebook algorithm. So when you launch an ad, Facebook is like this car trying to figure out where to put your ad so that somebody clicks on it and takes the right actions from it. And as it's going through, it runs into a wall. That's like it running into somebody that doesn't actually engage with the ad, and it says, okay, this person didn't like it, but it did work when we did this thing. And so they keep learning that. And so Facebook keeps trying until it becomes like this car that's able to go through this whole maze and really show your ads to the right people and have it just keep continuing. Now, there's a lot of things that we can do to set this algorithm up for success, like look at the walls of this maze. If we make the walls a little bit bigger, it's gonna have more success when it comes out, where if it's just too constricted, it's never gonna be able to learn. But if it's way too wide, it's gonna have too much room to roam and we're not gonna actually get the result we want. So this is a very good way to think about the Facebook ad algorithm learning for you so that you can have success with the ads you're trying to launch. So now the question is, what is it that Facebook's actually optimizing for, and how do we make sure that we play into that so that we can get the best results from our ads? So the number one goal of Facebook, which isn't going to be written publicly by Facebook, but the number one goal is always going to be what's called ARPU, average revenue per user. So that means that Facebook wants to make money from the people on their platform, as much money as possible. And the way that they do that is through having a great user experience. If you went to Facebook and every time you saw something you didn't like, or it wasn't very interesting, or you didn't like the design, then it wouldn't, encourage you to go do it at any point in the future. But because you do go to Facebook and Instagram and are addicted to those platforms because of how well they've designed them, you keep coming back. And Facebook has defined this. They have come out, Mark Zuckerberg has said, this is the goal of the user experience on Facebook, creating the most long-term value for people by showing them content that is meaningful and relevant to them. So every single time you put an ad out there, you have to ask yourself, is this creating long-term value for people by showing them content that is meaningful and relevant to them? Now, it's sort of a silly question because when you launch an ad, you're not thinking about that. You're thinking about how can I just, make money from this ad? But it's a good idea to think about the user experience because that's what Facebook is interested in. And if you violate their terms, then they're going to ban you and you're going to have a really hard time running ads on the platform. So with that said, let's dive into a little bit more detail about how the algorithm actually ranks posts and ads. Now, this is referring specifically to the organic algorithm, which isn't ads, it's posts, but we can learn a lot about how the paid algorithm works from this. This comes directly from Facebook. So this is the model that Facebook itself has put on a blog post about how it all works. There's about 1,000 candidate posts that can come through. This is all the inventory that anytime someone goes on Facebook that they could be shown. And through this first pass, this integrity process, it just makes sure that there's not bad posts or posts that won't actually show right or whatever it is, and it clears out all of that junk. So now this goes down to about 500. And then Facebook's AI goes through another scoring pass of all of those relevant posts and says, okay, which one of these do we think that this user will like the most? And then after they select which one they think they will like the most, then they actually put them in the news feed as this contextual pass, and people can scroll through and see what Facebook has selected for them. Again, this is for the organic algorithm, but the same goes for the paid algorithm. It's just a different set of criteria. So for the organic algorithm, it might be like, okay, this person has talked to this person on Messenger, and so we're gonna show the person A, person B's post because they were recently talking on Messenger, and therefore we know that they're friends and they've recently discussed things, so we'll put that in there. Other things that could affect what you see on your organic feed is like where you are, how good your internet is, how good the internet is of the person that posted something. And all of these things, believe it or not, go into the AI's decision to show you what it shows you. And that's how you have the most positive experience possible on Facebook when you go. All right, now with that said, let's jump to some slides I made. I don't want to bore you, but this is really important that you understand before we actually go make some ads. So let's come into Facebook ad algorithm, explain these slides that I made for my marketing agency. And I'm going to show you the 3 criteria that Facebook uses to rank your ads and put them on people's feeds. So the first one is quality ranking. This is how your ads perceived quality compared to ads competing for the same audience. And the main way that they perceive quality is through avoiding these things. So sensationalized content, things that would cause people to hide the ad, and engagement bait. Let's look at some examples of these. So this one is like, it's a miracle she didn't break anything. Amazing. You'll never believe who tripped and fell on stage. It's just very clickbaity. Then we've got 7 mind-blowing uses of carrots. It's too sensationalized. And then this one, engagement bait. Like if you're an Aries, or love if you're a Leo, and find true love. So this is just getting them to engage with the post, but it's not a genuine engagement, so they don't want that happening. So if you do any of these things on your ads, obviously within reason, it's okay. But if you do anything on your ads, your quality ranking will go down in Facebook. Next up is engagement rate ranking. So this is how your ads expected engagement rate compared to ads competing for the same audience. So engagement would include clicks, reactions, comments, shares, and even just clicking to expand the ad and read all of the words that are written on that ad. If you get this right, Facebook's gonna boost you up and you're gonna get cheaper ads. The next one is conversion rate ranking, how your ads expected conversion rate compared to ads with the same optimization goal competing for the same audience. So I know that sounds like a lot, but basically this just means that, let's say I'm a dentist in my area and you're a dentist in my area as well, and we're both running ads, then if my ads are getting higher conversions, then I'm gonna have a higher conversion rate ranking and my ads are gonna be cheaper, they're gonna perform better. Facebook's gonna be able to optimize that more, whereas your ads won't do quite as well. All right, so that is the ad algorithm explained. Those are the only 3 metrics that Facebook themselves have said matter when it comes to launching successful Facebook ads. Now, in the actual media buying world where people are running Facebook ads on the ground, you'll see that there's a lot of other opinions. There's a lot of other things that don't come directly from Facebook that people believe work. But the only thing that's actually going to work for you guys is trial and error. My goal with this video is to speed up your process of trial and error by getting you to make your first error at a much higher spot than you typically would have before. All right, awesome. Now with all of that out of the way, let's actually talk about creating the ad itself. And when it comes to creating the ad, there's 3 aspects you have to consider. The first one is your campaign objective. What are you getting people to do with your ad? This is begin with the end in mind. It's classic, like you need to understand what your marketing objective is. The second one is the creative you use in your ads. This is the pictures, the videos, the words, everything that comes to actually create the ad that's on somebody's newsfeed. And then the third thing is the targeting. So when you're actually inside Facebook Manager, Facebook is going to have these switched. So number 1 will be number 1, but 2 and 3 will be flip-flopped. But when we create ads, we want to put them in the correct order, which is creative, then targeting, because the creative is by far the most important part of what we do. And the targeting, honestly, Most people overcomplicate it, especially for local business, and I'll show you why that is and how to actually do the targeting correctly once we get to that point. But first of all, let's talk about campaign objective. And to do that, we need to dive into my computer and go to Facebook Ads Manager. If you've never used Facebook Ads Manager before, I'm going to release a video that might come out before or after this one about how to use it. In the meantime, I'll link to another one where you can watch how Business Manager works and how to get Ads Manager set up. All right, here we are inside of Facebook Ads Manager, and we're just in a test account, and I'm gonna come here and click Create. Now, this is brand new to me. One thing you should understand is that Facebook is always editing their user interface, and so you could see something completely different than what I'm seeing right now. For this example, let's go ahead and select leads. Let's say we wanna generate leads for our business. Click continue. Now you can see that Facebook has created up here in the corner a new leads campaign, a new leads ad set, and new leads ad. So ad set is the targeting, like I mentioned before, ad is the creative. So they flip-flopped 2 and 3, but campaign objective is at the top here. So now let's go over what buttons we need to click here. First of all, make sure to select if you're doing any special ad categories. I assume most people watching this would not be. And then in campaign details, you can always just leave this at auction. And then if you need to edit your campaign objective, you can come in here and edit it. But for now, we selected leads, so we're gonna stick with leads. Now it's going to give you the option to A/B test something and declare a winner there. And it's also gonna give you the option of campaign budget optimization. These are pretty advanced things. For most beginners, turning on campaign budget optimization is the smart idea. So just go ahead and do that. It just means that your budget is going to be set on this campaign level instead of on the ad set level. So don't worry about it too much, just turn that on. It's not the most important thing in the world. When it comes to your budget, it all depends on your goals. I recommend a pretty healthy budget of $15 to $20 per day if you're a local business. If you're running an e-commerce store or something like that, you'll likely have to do more like $50 to $100 a day as a test. Great, now let's go ahead and click next down here in the corner and move on. Okay, now as I mentioned, we're in the targeting part here, but what we wanna do is come create our ad first. And something that most people won't understand is that I want you to create your ad outside of Facebook first. Because when you go create it directly in while you're creating the ad, it's usually an afterthought. And when it comes to Facebook ad, your creative is king. It is the thing that makes the difference. You can have okay targeting and an okay campaign objective and have an amazing ad, and you'll outperform everybody else. So that's what you need to focus on. So to help us with that, let's go ahead and look at an ad to get some inspiration about what's the most important part of that ad and what we need to gather before we actually go run it. So I'm gonna put myself in the corner here, and as you can see, we've got this Smile Direct Club ad. And we've got this elements of a Facebook feed ad in order of importance. This is according to me. There's some things on here that might depend on the industry, but I really wouldn't worry about it too much. This is gonna be pretty much accurate. So the first most important of your ad is going to be this primary text. And the reason for that is that if you don't have good text on your ad, nobody's going to know what to do. So even if you have a great product, even if you have an awesome setup on the back end and you're gonna be able to get your clients great results or whatever you're selling, if you don't explain that well in these words, you're not gonna have a good time with your Facebook ads, simply because nobody will know what to do. The second most important aspect of your ad, guys, is your creative. So for Smile Direct Club, we can see that there's this, it's like a 5-second video. We can't really see the video right now because this is just a picture, but it's a kind of an interesting piece of video content that might capture our attention as we're scrolling down and might make us stop and look at the ad. So there's some people that might argue we should flip-flop 1 and 2 here, and that the picture is more important because it's what stops the scroll and then people start reading, but really they're pretty much equal because you might be able to put some good words here at the top of the ad that will make people super interested as well. All right, so then our third most important thing here is our headline. That's what goes at the bottom of the Facebook ad. And then fourth is going to be our call to action button, which we can change the name of it. It can be learn more, it could be send message, something else. Number 5 is going to be the newsfeed link description. This is kind of getting phased out, so it's not really that important. Number 6 will be the name of your page. If it's named something completely weird, nobody's gonna click on your ads where they won't understand what it's for. And number 7 will be this link down here. It's not really that important. And this is for Facebook. On Instagram, keep in mind that there's different looking ads. They don't actually have all of these things. It's literally just a picture and then some words underneath the picture. And then you have to think about stories. If you're putting your ads on Facebook stories or Instagram stories, it's gonna look quite different from this ad. But because the topic of today is Facebook ads specifically, which they run on Instagram as well, we're gonna talk about the feed ads here, which is where you'll be spending most of your time. So you might be wondering, okay, I know what my product is, I know what I wanna sell, but how do I create a great ad? And what I would recommend is everybody kind of start with a crutch, and that's by using somebody else's expertise to help you create a great ad. A resource I really like using is called AdZombies.com. These guys are really cool. I love their branding, but AdZombies professional copywriters. So you come to these guys and their whole thing is that they're going to resurrect your ads because they're so bad they're dead, and they're gonna make them zombies, which come back to life and really get people to pay attention to them. You can come here to order fresh words here, and you can order a Facebook ad with a video for $120, which might be in your budget, it might not. And they'll give you some really quality content to put in your Facebook ads. You can also just order a single Facebook ad and get some good copy in there and then try to get your own pictures. So this is a resource that can help you with words and also, videos and creative like that. But what if you don't have the budget, or if you feel like you can do it yourself? What should you be looking for? So the first thing is, in your words that you're using in your ad, you need to make sure you call out the person that you're trying to serve. So let's say you run a sewing business. You need to say, tired of sewing your own clothes or something like that. And then on the next line, you would say, try, Kim's sewing and save a bunch of time. And then you could have a picture of yourself with a sewing machine. And that would be a great ad that would really stop the scroll for people who want to, have their clothes sewn. I could go through a million more examples just like that. The thing is, this really just takes practice. That is the biggest piece of advice I can give you when it comes to anything in business, but especially copywriting and Facebook ads. You're gonna have to write a lot of ads. You're gonna have to keep testing things and see what people really like and are interested in. One way that you can shortcut that process, if you go to your customers and you talk to them about what initially interested them in your business, that can be a big help, because you really get the words straight from their mouth as to what's appealing to them about your business, and then you can put those words in your ad. I know I've given a lot of ideas here, but I want to give one last one when it comes to copywriting and pictures. And it's a framework that Russell Brunson talks about, and it's hook, then story, then offer. So think about how you can hook somebody in your Facebook ad, and then tell a little story, and then how you can make them an offer. And every single time you go through that process, try to simplify it more and more. How can I make the hook just a little bit better so more people want to click on it? How can I make the story really compelling and really tell the story about my company and why somebody should do this? Or maybe put the person who's reading it in a story and show how I'm the person that can help them with their problem. And then when you make your offer, make it as simple as possible. Click here to learn more about this thing. And then you get them to the next page and you write another hook and another story and another offer. And then you get them to click again. And you keep going like that until you've actually gotten them to successfully complete a purchase that you want, or come into your business, or whatever it is. Copywriting and successful marketing is all about taking somebody from one step to the next step and just optimizing every single part of that process so that you lose as few people as possible along the way. Awesome. With all of that said, now let's go back into Ads Manager and write up our ad. So let's come into new lead ads, and here we're going to select the Facebook page we're running from and the Instagram page we're running from. Maybe this isn't set up for you. Sorry, we're not going to cover that in this video, but make sure you go figure out how to set it up. And then we're going to come here to primary text. So again, if I write in here, you're going to see that it will appear above the picture here. And the first thing we're going to do here is replace this picture. So I'm going to come to change media, and I've got some interesting pictures on here that I used before. This one's pretty interesting. It's me like drinking out of a cup. And there we go. So this is kind of like I don't know what I'd be selling in this picture, but it's sort of interesting. It kind of gets you to stop the scroll because it looks like a real person doing a real thing. It's not like some crazy ad in your face, right? So maybe that's the vibe I'm going for here. Then in my primary text, I'll do something like, hello, marketing agency owners, let's say, owners. So I'm calling out my ideal avatar. Like I said, this is my hook. Are you wondering how to scale past the 10K a month mark? There's a lot more I could write here, but let's just say I write like a few more lines of text. And then at the end I say, click learn more to register for my free download, PDF download, or whatever it is that I'm giving to these people. So all of that's gonna go at the top there. And then my headline is going to be break past the 10K a month barrier, let's say. By the way, if you're looking for coaching, I offer it down below, just click that link. And then in the description, which it says is optional here, I could just write something like top rated marketing agency owner spills secrets. And then I said, click learn more to register for my free download. I'm gonna switch this to learn more. Great, so now that I've got my ad created, we need to think about what's going to happen after somebody clicks on this ad. And in this case, it's a lead form ad. So if I come here to create form, it's actually gonna help me create a form that says, that helps people submit their information. So I could upload an image and I can say like, hello, register for the free download below. Questions, we could add email, full name, we can add our phone number in here. I'm not gonna go too in depth in this because there's actually a lot of different campaign objectives that we can choose, and not all of them are gonna be relevant for everybody on this video. So let's just go ahead and pretend that we added that form on there and somebody's ready to submit it. Great, so we've got our ad completely created. Now we need to go to our ad set and actually do the targeting. So now you can see what's really interesting. When we come to our ad set, we can actually try to collect leads from a website, or collect leads from an instant form, which was what I just showed you, collect leads from Messenger, collect leads from calls, or collect leads in an app. All of these are deemed as leads. And what we're gonna do is just keep that forms there, but if you were interested in doing the website thing, then you could click the website and that would change the way that things go, and you'd have to add a pixel, some other complicated things that we won't go over in this video. Great, so now we go here to budget and schedule. Just leave this as is. You can set an end date if you're just running a test, but I would recommend just watching your ads and then turning them off if they're not performing, and redoing the campaign if that's the case. Then we'll scroll down here to audience. This is where the targeting capabilities of Facebook really come into play and become an amazing help to us to reach the people that we want to reach. For our example today, let's say we're working with a local business, okay, and we want them to get more leads. Let's say it's a dental office. So let's go ahead and look up a dentist in Texas or something. Okay, Texas Roadhouse. Instead of a dentist, we're going to a Texas Roadhouse who wants to bring more customers in. And I've selected this Texas Roadhouse here, but if I come add like 5 miles, let's say people would drive about 5 miles to come to this restaurant, then it's going to give me a bigger radius around that Texas Roadhouse, so I'm targeting the people in that area. Then you'll see people living in or recently in this location. This is great because it's just getting all of the people that are there, or maybe we're traveling. We want to show the ad to anybody because anybody could come to our restaurant. So age-wise, let's say we've narrowed it down at our restaurant. We realize that most people coming are from 30 to 45, and it's all genders. It doesn't really matter if it's a boy or a girl. And guys, that's all you would do for targeting. As you can see, the estimated audience size here is 136,000 to 160. That's a great number. We can just leave that there. We could even bump it down a little bit and maybe go 4 miles, depending on how much our budget is, because then we're spending more on the people closer to us instead of spending a bunch on reaching people who are far away and might not want to come to our restaurant. So this is one example of targeting. Now let's do another example, just because I know you're curious and maybe this doesn't apply to you as much. Let's say you're running an e-commerce store and this e-commerce store sells toys for kids. So what I would do here is I would go United States, and then I would also probably select Canada, depending on where I ship to, right? So I've selected the entire United States and Canada, which maybe we don't ship this high up here, so we want to take off that part of Canada. In that case, we could just do a really big radius or select different states inside Canada. But for now, let's just say we want to do this entire area. So we've got, you know, over 100 million people on here potentially between the ages of 30 and 45. These are the people with young kids. So we'd want to keep that age the same, let's say. Then we come to detailed targeting, and what we can do is people with kids. So let's type in kids. Looks like that didn't work. Oh, kids. Looks like it did work. So interests are kids, or kids the film, PBS kids, Abercrombie kids, all of these. These aren't really helping. So let's say children. And as you can see, we've got all of these different interests that we could target people by. But then when we scroll down, there's actually demographics. So parents with adult children or parents with early school age children, 6 to 8 years. This is what we're looking for. So let's target them. And as you can see, now we've got just under 2 million people in all of this area. And let's say that's exactly who we want to target, just those people with kids that age. That's awesome. We'll just leave it at that, and we'll try to spend some money and reach all of those 2 million people through our targeting. Guys, this is where we make the walls, so to speak, of this AI car smaller or bigger. Because if they're too big, again, we're going to get people seeing our ad that we don't want to see our ad. But if they're too small, the car won't ever be able to learn where to go. And too small would be like, I don't know, with 10,000 people in the audience, Facebook wouldn't even have enough room to try to do what it needs to and finding the right people that are going to find your ads. Awesome. So now that we've done that targeting, let's come here to placements. You can leave these as manual. Placements just means where the ad is going to show up. So you can see news feed, Instagram feed, all this stuff. You can leave it as manual, or you could change it to automatic placements. This is recommended by Facebook because it's going to allow you to, them to spend more money for you. But I would choose just feeds if I were you. Stories can do great, but it requires a different type of creative. So you're going to have to, really amp up your stories to make sure that they're performing well. Whereas if we just do Facebook and Instagram feed, we're going to get some great results. This is where most of our results are going to come from anyway. And then we don't have to spend time creating extra creative specifically for these. And guys, that's pretty much it. Once you're done with all of that, you can come back here, make sure you have everything selected as you want it, and then just go ahead and click publish. Your ad will go into review, and as long as everything looks good, the computer will review it and say, yep, you're good. We're gonna post this ad, and then you'll start seeing results roll in from that. So 2 more things I should mention. When I click create, there's a ton of different options as you can see here. So awareness, traffic, engagement, leads, app promotion, and sales. And when we hover over each of these, you can see that there's things that each of these are good for. So this one's good for reach, brand awareness, video views. And if we come to sales, this one's good for conversions, catalog sales, messages. Engagement is good for messages, video views, likes, comments, and shares. So depending on what we select in this step, it's going to affect the options that we have going forward. And it's also going to affect who the ad is shown to. Because if we select, let's say, traffic, it's going to show it to people who are more likely to click on our link and go to our website. But if we choose app promotion, for example, it's going to show the ad to people that like to install apps, or that Facebook has seen install apps in the past. So just keep that in mind. I can't really tell you which of these is best for you, but make sure you know that depending on what you select, the options will be different as you progress. One more thing to keep in mind is that if we come here to the new leads campaign, we only have 1 ad. And that's not great for what's going to happen when we move forward. So what we want to do is duplicate this ad. And when we've duplicated that ad, then we can come in and kind of edit the media, the primary text. Looks like what I created before got deleted because I changed the information on the ad set. But if we come through here, I could create a version 1 of this ad, and then I could create a version 2 of this ad, and even a version 3 and 4, depending on how much money you're spending. And then Facebook's going to choose which one of those ads is performing the best. It's going to show it to more people. When you give it a little bit of variety, Facebook can take that variety, show it to the right people, and get you more of a return on investment. All right, guys, that's pretty much it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and comment, as I mentioned before. Thank you so much for joining us today. I actually did film this all in one sitting, surprised myself. Thanks so much for being here. We'll see you in the next one.